Hey there folks, Champesk here, bringing another audio commentary, and my word actually, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but we are going to be having a ECL game between Infi, who's now obviously on Team Tyloo, and pcg, who is a player I've seen games from him before. He is undead. I haven't seen too much from him though. I don't think he is sort of a more famous alter ego or anything like that, so we'll have to see what these players decide to do. We are on Echo Wilds. So it's there's a couple options you can have here. Obviously, Archmage or Mount King, both very common possibilities here for Infi, and then also that expansion. It's been a bit tougher for humans to expand versus undead recently, but they've been making it happen. But the thing is, you can't delay your tech really as much as you would like because of the new nerf that there's just been in the most recent patch to things like towers and masonry upgrades, so that things like destroyers are actually going to be a bit better against the mass towers that humans traditionally love when they're getting their low tech expansions. And we do now have Infi scouting out one scout here. And oh, look at this, Dreadlord out first here for a pcg, so interesting, really interesting choice here. Obviously Dreadlord, very good for those surrounds. Really have to hope that you're not going against a Mount King, and it is indeed an Archmage here for Infi, but the problem is that you can't heal, and Undead really doesn't have any good tier 1 healing, unless you have that Death Knight, in which case both the Aura and the Coil is fantastic for that. And Infi, it'll be interesting to see, does this Militia stick around, or it looks like Infi maybe he was only scouting to see, is it a Fiend build? He didn't see a Graveyard, so he's just going to go off now, and he isn't going back to his base though, so he's going to sit down on this farm here, and the PCG will know this, and maybe he's going to try and send his Dreadlord up here first to do some creeping, or maybe he's going to go for that quick surround. Obviously when you have a lot of mana at the beginning, then that Archmage is really weak. These surrounds are possible, but you do need to be wary of those Militia being around. And actually look at this, the Ghoul's coming down to kill that one, or force Infi to cancel that one farm, and we'll get the Peasant kill, and the Dreadlord's going to get the experience from that because he has just popped out. Very, very nice play here by him, but we'll have to see what his choice is going to be really at this point. He's going to go for some very base creeping first. Obviously the Dreadlord, not the greatest of creeping heroes either, which is really why it's almost never used, but at the same time we'll have to see, because you can if there's one really strong creep, so for example these camps, you can put the Ogre Magi to sleep, then creep out the other two quite quickly, and then that really makes your job a whole lot easier. But at the same time, you don't want to be using too much mana from that Dreadlord, because Dreadlords require a huge amount of mana for both, well, we're not going to see Carrion Swarm, but if we did, Carrion Swarm is slightly powerful, but very, very mana intensive, and sleep is really the huge thing. And we do have some nice harassment here by Infi. This one tower has now finished though, so it looks like this, actually yeah, Infi not really paying too much attention here. One thing worth mentioning actually is that this Geomancer was put to sleep instead of the Wizard, and that's just because it will stay asleep for a lot longer, and it means that it can't slow, and that slow can be quite annoying here. And meanwhile we do have Infi creeping out the same camp here, has picked up a Shadow Priest, which is going to be useful against those skeletons. He still hasn't scouted out the Dreadlord as far as I know, but he has now hit level 2, and as I say, that Shadow Priest is going to be useful in pretty much all situations, regardless of what hero has been chosen first. And meanwhile we do now have level 2 on the Dreadlord, who has he not chosen a skill? No, ooh, look at this, he's not going for Vampiric Aura, he's actually going for Carrion Swarm and Sleep, so super mana intensive here from this Dreadlord, really going to have to do so much to keep things going. He's going to have to buy mana potions, get out those statues quickly. I wonder if he started his tech. No, he hasn't, and actually he's building another Acolyte now, so maybe he can go for a fast expansion, or maybe... No, he did lose an Acolyte to the harassment there. That's why he's building another one. So a nice harassment there by Infi, and meanwhile this one little footman coming in here trying to do some damage, but eventually being forced a bit back, but he will be able to get away. And we'll have to see. Infi, that doesn't look like... Oh no, he's now bringing down Militia. Maybe he could go for an expansion, but I'm not sure. It would be much faster if he just brought them down in Peasant form, because now he has to wait for them to move out of Militia form. But maybe he just is worried about an attack right now. And anyways, we do now have that Infi scouted out this level 3 Dreadlord. Dreadlord picking up a Staff of Teleportation. Interesting choice here by him. And oh, is he going to staff into the back here and then use Carrion Swarms? Level 2 Carrion Swarm could be very strong. Yeah, it looks like that's what he's doing. Interesting choice here by him, and there it goes there, and you can see all the peasants taken down to about half health, so they are forced to run away, but Infi will be able to trap a PCG's Dreadlord in the back of his base now, because he doesn't want to be hit by that Arcane Tower, because as I say, mana is just key here. Takes down 3 peasants and then pulls back again. Bear in mind, Infi still at tier 1, so he can just keep on building these peasants. It is going to slightly restrict his ability to start his tech, but it looks like at the meantime he's not even started his expansion, and another Carrion Swarm going off now, but we can see he's now out of mana, so so this Dreadlord now just going to bring in some skeletons, even use his school to try and do a bit of damage, and obviously PCG has picked up the backpack upgrade, which has become very popular for undeads recently, and this Dreadlord probably going to wait for his staff to come back off cooldown and then just snap out of here. Does need to be careful. Obviously Infi's Archmage blocked out, but he can build the water elementals inside if he gets his Archmage into the right position, and then uses water elementals so it pops out in front of the farms or whatever the building blocking happens to be at the time. And this Dreadlord actually at risk of being a bit surrounded here, might have to use TP to get out of here, which is something he wouldn't want to do. It looks like one of these peasants is very, very low, and he is forced to TP out, but he's done a good amount of damage there, really delayed this expansion as well. Infi actually not even paying attention, finally starts the tower building there, and actually, oh no, it's because he doesn't have enough money, or lumber, by the looks of things. Yeah, so that harassment has been really fantastic, but this is the problem. Look at this Dreadlord, no health, is going to be healed up by the Shadow Priest slowly, but still that's not a huge amount, and means that it's going to be a lot trickier for him to do any creeping, or really anything for this significant future. Also, his tech is quite slow here, but we do not have Infi. I guess he's still quite low on lumber. Yeah, he has almost no lumber, because he's had to rebuild all these peasants now. He put them all straight back on gold, ones from lumber, just to make up for the ones he lost, but still, not a great situation here for Infi, and looks like PCG now going to be moving out, still level 3 on this Dreadlord, and then no Vampiric Aura, which is really going to hurt his healing abilities, which, as I say, are so limited anyways, and one footman just running in here to scout. I like how Infi's doing this, just constantly staying on top of what PCG is doing, and it looks like Infi is going to run out of the range of the Nerubian Tower, and then, actually no, he's not going to continue to fight, he's just going to run for it at this point, and looks like we have another attack going on here, but the staff coming in here by the Archmage, and going to be able to chase away this Dreadlord. Dreadlord actually already down to no mana, and looks like these ghouls are maybe going to try and take down a couple peasants, and might be successful. Again, this might delay the tech a bit, but it looks like Infi is going to have a bit more now that his peasants aren't all already injured, and now that the Dreadlord isn't in the battle either. And so it looks like, yeah, Infi just able to micro these away very nicely, and obviously the water elementals do a huge amount of damage. Nice turning that one militia into one peasant into militia form to make it run a lot faster. And PCG having to really conga line his ghouls out of there, and fortunately he doesn't get blocked, and so he does manage to get all his little ghouls out, and tier 2 now just finishing for PCG. I wonder if he's going to go for a Death Knight second. I'd certainly recommend it, but I mean, what I'd recommend and what he's doing so far haven't aligned too much, and it's working out pretty well for him at the moment. Infi, this is a nice harassment that humans have always really loved to do, is just bring in an Archmage and a Water Elemental into an undead space, and you can do so much damage. We can see one of these ghouls already going down, and that's basically for nothing. In the meantime, PCG not able to do too much. Ooh, look at this, picking up the Tinker second, really gonna go super harassment heavy now, killing that one raccoon so he can pass the staff. Oh, actually he has 2 staffs, so he can get a whole bunch of skeletons. One of the great advantages of having that backpack upgrade, and it looks like the Pocket Factory can be taken down very, very quickly there by Infi, and the Archmage is now running home. Does have that staff and a TP if he really felt he needs it, but obviously he doesn't feel under too much pressure because he's bought so many mercs, really invested very heavily in this, but because he's sticking at tier 1 for so long, that's basically an inevitability. He has to do that, and this one skeleton going to be taken out for a bit more experience, still not level 4 on this Archmage, which is going to be pretty useful. And look at this, ooh, that might have been a mistake I think there. I think he was going for the harassment. Unfortunately it is daytime, so the creeps did get aggravated, and maybe going to be even able to pull them onto these footmen here if he gets lucky, and yes, he is going to get an ensnare there, very, very lucky there. Maybe that was the plan, I don't know. And it looks like this Dreadlord has actually picked up a potion of mana now, as well as going for double slaughterhouse, so possibly destroys, most likely destroys really, although he is taking a tier 3, so there are options he has. He could go for abominations. It's unlikely really we're going to see much else from him. Obviously Abominations would be pretty good against the Berserkers, but really not much else, and Berserkers aren't really a long-term goal. Forced to cancel one of those slaughterhouses, very, very nice play here by Infi. This is just such good harassment when he has so much piercing damage from all these Berserkers. You can take down these constructing buildings so quickly, and a couple slow ghouls are going to be forced back again. They take so much damage, and a nice harassment going on in the meantime here. It looks like this Pocket Factory is going to be killed, but in the meantime Infi's going to lose a couple footmen, which are sort of disposable, but still it's going to mean that his economic harassment is, or his economic lead is really diminished, and in the meantime a lot of repair going on the Spirit Tower. Must keep it alive, because otherwise the DPS here from PCG's army is just too insufficient. And actually this one Berserker, really nice micro all game long here so far by PCG, or by Infi, really managing to get away from PCG's ghouls there, and it looks like we do have this Archmage finally hitting level 4, and so his level 2 water elementals would be much more plentiful, but having no arcane tower here, and really he needs a couple guard towers as well to keep away these heroes, has just been so detrimental here for Infi. Really, he's just never been given the time or the economic leeway to do such a thing, and meanwhile tier 3 tech coming up, and in the meantime we can see PCG losing so many accolades, which he is unable to rebuild and unable to pull anything off Lumber, obviously, because he is undead. So really a big economic hit here for PCG. Nice harassment. Oh, actually managed to get that one away at 10 hit points, and looks like if he gets a TP out of here, gotta lose that Berserker though before he does, and now it looks like this harassment. Ooh, a nice Carrion Storm going on there. Really, it's not a skill you see at all because of that damage cap that it Blizzard I think introduced halfway through the Frozen Throne. But really, it's not a great spell, but it's actually been having great value made of it, and actually looks like this Tinker is very, very low, is slowed, and does get taken down, but only level 2, so we will be back pretty soon, and a nice focus here on this Pocket Factory. It was put in a smart position to lower that surface area, but the DPS from the water elementals is just too much, and this Dreadlord now, getting very, very close to level 5 there, after getting one water elemental kill there, and it looks like this Dreadlord will be actually looking to take down a couple more peasants before he gets out of here, and that level 3 Carrion Storm does actually do a fair bit of damage, despite the damage cap, and looks like the Dreadlord is eventually going to be forced to TP home, but he will be able to do some creeping and get that level 5. Actually, he would need some units really to do that. He doesn't have a whole bunch of backing units at this point. His Tinker is sort of on the way back, but still a fair bit off. And this Dreadlord obviously can't do any creeping really on his own unless he wants to get a Death Knight third. He has hit tier 3, and actually did he pick up an orb there? No, he didn't. So maybe he's going to pick it up on the Tinker, maybe he's just not going to pick one up at all. Obviously he doesn't have a ranged here, so really it's not as useful, but still is the Undead Orb is just absolutely crazy powerful nonetheless. And the Lumber Mill has been built by Infi, but interestingly, I wonder if he blocked it with his farm, but he's not harvesting lumber near the Lumber Mill, so not getting that bonus efficiency. And this Archmage now running in and actually being slowed immediately. Probably was hoping to avoid that attack, but it looks like one statue is on the way out. Hopefully it'll be rallied into the base of PCG, and it looks like, still no towers going up. An Arcane Tower on its way up, but still nothing up to actually stop PCG from doing a lot of harassment here. We do have a Mana Potion being used, and one Carrion Storm goes down, taking down one Peasant, and level 5 now hits, so we'll have to see actually if he goes for level 3 Carrion Storm or level 3 Sleep. He hasn't really been using Sleep, which is really surprising, really, because that's the point of the Dreadlords, to get those super easy surrounds. But it looks like in the meantime, this Slaughterhouse actually under a lot of attack. No skill being tried. Actually, it looks like he's actually going for those destroyers immediately. Going to be able to absorb 2 water elementals and maybe some slow in the, quite soon as well. And more harassment going on here, but actually it looks like as soon as that Arcane Tower finishes, Dreadlord decides he needs to get back in, and the Archmage actually staffs out as well. So a bit of a trade there, and you can see that obviously that Archmage had to staff out before the Dreadlord came in, because obviously otherwise the sleep just bought. Obviously you need to buy a mana potion, but he could just sleep on the Archmage, and then that Archmage would be in a world of trouble because no TP. And Archmage now actually almost level 5, so not really as useful. That would have been a long time ago, just because of the destroyers, which are now going to slowly start popping out. Obviously one Slaughterhouse still alive, and that's back here, which is forced to be the second one rebuilt, and we do now have actually the shop under a bit of attack here, and I don't think we ever saw an orb being bought, so that's a bit unfortunate here for PCG, who really could have used that orb, and actually now attacking despite the Arcane Tower being around and a couple guard towers being around as well. And we do not have this Dreadlord already completely drained of mana, but does have another mana potion, and Infi deciding to run home because he can't do as much damage because of the 2 towers and the Black Citadel having a pretty nice attack as well. And so looks like Infi actually losing a couple of more militia there, and so really actually taking a fair chunk of damage all game long. Still obviously he does only have tier 1, as we can see, so really relying on his mercs as well as his high level Archmage. But at the moment actually the Dreadlord is significantly higher level. We might even see an Infernal at some point in this game, considering that the Dreadlord is actually almost 5.5 at this point, and actually nice micro here getting this destroyer back, but it's really going to be very tricky for him to heal it up because he doesn't have that Death Knight, and he doesn't really have a huge number of statues he can afford to waste. And meanwhile Infi now chasing, actually looks like, he's going to be in a lot of trouble here with this one Tinker. He does have it slowed, it can be absorbed, and there it goes there, but it can be recast because both these Mugglems have a huge amount of mana because of that Archmage aura, and so it will be dispelled eventually again. Yes, there it goes there, but it will be recast yet again, and with this time I think that is going to be enough to get the kill, and actually Archmage pathing blocking his own Berserkers a bit there, so does actually manage to get another absorption off, and actually this Destroyer having a huge amount of mana now, obviously unable to attack the Mud Golems, but could turn around and try and cause a bit of a distraction to get this Tinker away, but it looks like in the end this Tinker finally going to go down, but having run a huge way, and actually drained a huge amount of mana from those Mud Golems, and wasted a lot of Infi's time, and in the meantime we do have he has hit level 5, which is pretty big, because it's going to be pretty tricky to dispel those water elementals, even with destroyers, because he does only have 2 at the moment. Going to get a third one in a second, and yes, there we go there. And so he is going to be moving in, and going to be probably going to be trying to focus down the Berserkers first, because really there's not too much else he can do at this point. He could try and go for the Archmage. Obviously sleep, pretty useless because he can't get any sort of surround, so it's only if he wants to stop the Archmage from doing anything. And these water elementals will be dispelled probably quite soon on. And this Dreadlord now on the run, yet again being slowed. Really fantastic Merc usage, as humans have really started to do a lot in the later stage of these games, just because it's they're pretty cost efficient compared to the cost of teching a lot earlier. And obviously they are fairly expensive, but because you're actually getting such a huge economic advantage, it can actually be worthwhile in the long run. And we can see Infi even picking up the Ogre Maulers now and getting a couple more Mercs actually as well. And so that's very, very nice there for him. This Tinker now almost back, and the Archmage now staffing out, staffing actually to, oh actually not to the space, where the Dreadlord is doing a lot more harassment. A lot of these footmen, peasants taking down to very low health, because you can see they're all at 20 out of 220 now. So really, one Carrion Storm and a couple hits is enough to take down these peasants. One that Carrion Storm is level 3, but that's just something you absolutely never see, because it requires you to get Carrion Storm level 3 first, which is just so impractical. TP actually coming in here for Infi, which is maybe a bit of a wasted expense. Actually, these Destroyers being very bold, sticking around, dispelling that Water Elemental, and getting 1 kill. Maybe, actually it looks like a lot of peasants are very, very easy to kill here, and this one Water Elemental, I think he's blocked, or maybe he can get around there, so he should be able to get in there, maybe cause a bit of trouble for these Destroyers, who are... Actually, it looks like this Dreadlord coming back in as well. This is so bold here. He can actually staff away, I think, unless the staff's still on cooldown. No, it isn't. So yeah, he can get away, because there is no mount kicking out, anything like that would be able to stop him. But still, such bold play here by him. And in the meantime, these Destroyers doing a lot more damage. Actually, going to be able to kill this one tower. But Infi does cancel in time to save that money. Nice play there by him. And the Tinker is now back out as well. Wow, amazing harassment here by PCG all game long. Infi now does have a couple defensive structures at each base, so he should be okay, but at the same time, it's still going to be very, very possible for PCG to do a bit of hit and run, especially with the Destroyers around the edge, and really to cost Infi a huge amount of money. Infi, meanwhile, doing some nice creeping. He has hit tier 2, or he's about to hit... No, he's actually... Oh, he only started it. I thought he started a while back. I'm not sure if he maybe cancelled it and then had to restart it, but still, that's pretty bad for him. He's just so much slower on here, and we do have an expansion going down here for PCG, although expansions for Undead are notoriously hard to defend, especially if you don't have any towers going up first to try and fend off things, especially like water elementals, which are just so good at taking down buildings while they're constructing. And we do now have Infi running down. Maybe he could do a bit of shopping. That'd be pretty useful at this point. The shop still hasn't been crapped, which is amazing. Just the main ogre has been crapped, and it looks like the sentry wars going to be picked up here. Yeah, it does pick them up. Going to be very, very useful in this harassment-based game, because it's really, really important that PCG's movements are really untracked. In the TP or staff of TP, TP comes in here, and going to be able to do a bit of damage. I wonder what's happened to this Dreadlord. The Dreadlord finally coming in, almost level 6 at this point. It's going to be very, very nice to get that Infernal, because it just gets such a good AoE stun, especially with all these TPs that Infi's being forced to use. You can use one as soon as they TP in, you can hit so many units, and just cause such a lot of troubles. In the meantime, obviously, you can dispel all their water elementals. But, oh, look, he's actually going to use it to do a lot more economic harassment here. And in the meantime, while that Infernal's taking some damage, the Destroyers come in and take down one building. It looks like we do have another Carrion Storm going off here. Tier 2 still not done here for Infi, and actually it looks like this Dreadlord in a lot of trouble now, being forced to use a healing potion, no TP, and the staff teleportation won't work in time. He does use his last mana before he's killed to sleep that Archmage. Nice choice there, but losing that Dreadlord is so huge. Really nice play there by Infi, and this Tinker now almost out of mana, but actually almost level 5 at the same time, so going to be quite a force to be reckoned with in a little while's time, and actually he is already, and it looks like we do have these water elementals immediately being partially dispelled, but because they have 900 health, they're just so tricky to fully get rid of, and they do so much damage to these destroyers if you can't completely get rid of them very, very quickly. Tinker now hits level 5, but not enough mana to actually use a Pocket Factory, so we'll be forced just to get off some hits, and that's really not what you want, especially if you don't have that staff, or sorry, the orb. And it looks like we do have a bunch of these Robo-Goblins have just been running into the buildings by the looks of things, doing a bit of damage, but really not the best of uses for them. And it looks like Infi actually with a bunch of low units going to be forced back. This one destroyer now dispelling the water elemental, which obviously gives both health and mana, more mana than health, but it's useful for both. And it looks like this destroyer might actually be able to live. We'll have to see. The Archmage has hit level 6, and that's really going to be huge because there's so much harassment possibilities. In the meantime, this expansion has finished, but only has one Acolyte working on it, and the Tinker just being such a beast at this point. Infi buying more mercs. He's bought all 4 mercs. So many Muggums, he's going to be able to get a huge number of souls, and a Mountain King pops out. This is great timing here for Infi. Will he be able to get the kill here on this Tinker? And it looks like he almost certainly will be able to. The bolt is surely going to come in. There it goes there, and this Tinker level 5 going to go down. Oh my god, if only PCG had a TP, this game could have gone so much differently. Being forced to tavern back his Dreadlord, which I'm not sure, maybe he didn't start buying back, but it seems like it would be more efficient to tavern back the Tinker, and Infi now going straight for tier 3, as the humans tend to do, because they do love to, once they get started on tech, there's no point in sticking around at tier 2 really, because all you get from tier 2 in most human builds is just that Mountain King, and then after that really, you really want that tier 3 for all those great things that are offered there, such as Gyrocopter, AoE, and I mean tanks with all their goodness are actually pretty useful, especially against the expanding undead are pretty useful. I mean, there's a huge number of things that they can do, knights, griffins, you know, really many of the best, especially 2-base strategies here for Infi are going to lie at tier 3, and it will allow him to get out a Paladin if he wants, and that could actually be quite useful because the Bolt and Holy Light combination on the Dreadlord will actually be much more powerful when there's no Death Knight around, and bear in mind the Dreadlord doesn't have a lot of armor either. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but even though he's at level 6, he only has 4 armor. Really very vulnerable hero, and Infi now going to be able to do so much. Ooh, actually retraining here. I'm guessing he's getting Blizzard because he's not happy with how his water elementals are working out, and Infi actually placing 2 sentry wards right next to each other for some reason. It must have been a misclick there, and actually using buying invisibility potion as well to do a bit of harassment. Maybe you're going to go for some Blizzard harassment here. Gonna try and hit all 5 Acolytes, and I'm really surprised that we haven't seen any harassment on this base yet, because it's so easy just to send a footman there or something, do a lot of damage, force the Acolytes to run around, really waste their APM as much as anything, and Infi gonna, I'm not sure where he's going here. Oh, he's gonna try and take down the altar. Actually, this could be huge if he manages to get it, and he should be able to, unless there's some huge mistake. Obviously the sleep from PCG will slow that down, but the sleep costs us so much more mana, and yes it does, the altar goes down, and actually as I was saying before, yeah, just the Archmage has so much mana, and Blizzard doesn't cost too much mana, so it's you can use it a lot. And so using sleep to cancel Blizzard is really not efficient at all. And Infi now going to move in for the second attack here on this gold mine. Really nice multi-pronged attacks here, while he's distracting with his Archmage, which bear in mind does actually have 2 staff teleportation as well as a scroll of TP. Will definitely be able to get out of a scrape if he's put in one. And in the meantime, Infi's army, which actually he doesn't have any TP on this Mountain King or the army, can just come in here and do some harassment. And the Acropolis actually going down for PCG, so he does want to be doing some sort of. Oh, actually look at that sleep being cancelled there, or sorry, mass TP being cancelled there. Very nice by Infi. He knew that it was going to be cancelled, but it wastes a bunch of mana on that Dreadlord, and it really doesn't cost him much mana at all. So nice choice there by Infi. And the Infernal now coming down, going to get a stun there on everything, and going to be able to kill at least one Mugglum. And it looks like we do the mass teleport coming in here by the Archmage. Archmage now going to maybe going to try and help things escape, but at this point really, actually the Mountain King could be past the staff teleportation, although obviously sleep would slow him down a bit. And yes, there it goes there. So it looks like actually maybe this Mountain King going to be taken down. Ghouls coming in so he can actually start to surround things, which is so important if you're going to be getting sleep. But no, a staff comes in here. Very nice. He's actually managed to buy a staff in this time. He must have done that when he TP'd home. And meanwhile, it looks like this Archmage now going to have to use a TP of his own. Really nice play here by Infi, managing to keep everything alive. And this Infernal, really, you don't want to be fighting when that Infernal's around. because it just has so much damage and it has a whole bunch of health as well. And so it's going to be 2 bases versus 2 base for a while, but bear in mind 3,000 gold left for Infi compared to 10,000 gold there, and not too much, 60 gold actually there compared to, actually a huge amount of gold left here, I guess, because of all that harassment. Actually, that just shows the value of the harassment that happened. PCG is actually out of gold despite actually having been harassed a bit himself, and in the meantime 1,500 gold less here for Infi, so really the effects of that harassment can truly be seen, and very, very nice there by PCG. But at this point, what it's going to mean is actually for a little while, Infi's going to be up on bases, which really seems sort of unfair considering that he was the one who expanded so much earlier. But in the mega long game, PCG has more income coming to him. Bolt goes off here on this Tinker, and that immediately forces PCG to turn around. One Abomination actually coming in here as well. That's going to be pretty nice against these breakers, especially if you can get Disease Cloud. But at this point, really, actually, with the Paladin especially as well, it's going to come down to PCG managing to actually just keep his heroes alive for long enough, because now that the Archmage has mass DP, there's just so much harassment potential that you really do need to keep your army as one, and PCG with quite a ragtag army really, no upgrades I don't think, which is going to work against them to a huge extent as well, but I don't think Infi has any of his own. No, he doesn't, but really PCG could have been getting upgrades for a little while, especially for those destroyers. He's been using so many of them, and I think it would have been pretty useful if he tried to get those, and then would also make a Fiend play later on a bit more viable, especially considering we're seeing some flying machines out as well. And there are a couple options that you can use to counter flying machines, but certainly destroyers not great when you have enough flying machines because of that AoE. And it looks like Infi's going to be going for some focus on that, but it does have that Arcane Sanctum, actually at 52 food, so not a great food count to be at. And a nice mass TP in here by the Archmage, going to force this expansion to be abandoned for the while at least. Actually 52 food for PCG as well, so very balanced, but at the same time both of them would probably rather lose a couple food just to help with their mining. Nice carrying storm here, but at this point killing the peasants isn't as important as trying to kill these flying machines. And it looks like this Dreadlord will be forced back for the meantime. Bear in mind he has another potion of mana, been really making great use of those, and getting so many sleeps off as well on these Mountain Kings and the Archmages, just because it's very, very useful to keep them out. And meanwhile, this Archmage now hitting level 7 here for Infi, and it looks like we will be having this expansion at least to terrorize for a bit. I'm not sure he's actually going to be able to stick in here for long enough to take things out. Obviously, the longer he stays in here, the more damage he's going to take from guard towers, and eventually Infi's going to decide that he thinks he can come back in here. But it looks like he's going to try and take out this gold mine first. Probably not going to bother with the Necropolis, but Infi going to use his try here. Oh, actually, look at TP coming back here, and looks like this sleep goes off to keep this Archmage asleep, and the Haunted Gold Mine is going to survive. And will this run? That isn't a proper surround. No, there you go. Let's go force the TP to be used. And the Archmage, yeah, we can see the Archmage TPs away as quickly as possible. So he just, oh no, he actually he was trying to be very tricky there and using that staff teleportation, I think, instead of, or perhaps he was using the mass teleportation that time. But really, it's a pretty gutsy play there by him. But enforcing a lot of mana wasted there by that Dreadlord. It's a nice play there by Infi, really wasting a huge amount of the mana on that Dreadlord, and you can see he no longer has that mana potion. And the Stinker actually very close to level 6, but taking a lot of focus down, does have to be very, very careful. Put down a Pocket Factory, but immediately Infi just runs for it, and getting his Mountain King slapped, but he is only level 2, so it's not the end of the world. And looks like we do have this Berserker now on the run, actually level 6 now on this Tinker, can go into Robo-Goblin form, which is going to be so useful. Yes, there he goes, because he's no longer susceptible to those wolves. Fantastic play here by Infi. Look at this, attacking these destroyers for so many angles, just meaning that it's so much harder for any sort of splash effects, anything like that, to work against him. So really, really nice play here. There's a Paladin taking a lot of damage past a healing push at the last second, but Sleep now going off on the Archmage, who's won another Tome of Retraining. What? Gonna go maybe back for Water Elementals. Mass TP oh, look at this, Mass TP going off just as Sleep hits on that Paladin, so unfortunately no sleep can go off on the Archmage. Very, very close play there, and a big mistake there by PCG. That might even be a game-ending mistake there by him if he isn't going to manage to get that Archmage kill. We'll have to see, but he did manage to keep this expansion alive. Isn't repairing it, actually, interestingly, and he can, bear in mind, repair his Tinker now, which is just such a weird concept, and actually, that's what he's going for there. And when it's in Robo-Goblin form, you can repair it. That's just something that's so useful to do. It does cost you a bit of money, but it's certainly often worthwhile. And we do now have this these flying machines coming in here. They're just sort of keeping an eye out now at this point, really. They're not too worried, or Infi's not too worried about any air, because he does have air superiority, and it's pretty hard to come back in this sort of situation. But we do have this one knight actually taking a lot of focus. No orb was actually ever bought here for PCG, which really surprised me. Even though he has 2 melee heroes, orbs would surely be very, very useful. And PCG now taking a lot of damage on his Dreadlord, actually getting it Holy Light as well. As I say, it's just such an effective nuke, and I think it'd be very, very useful if he had a shop down here as well, but he's going to have to run his Dreadlord away, and you know, the Mount King without the boots, actually it looks like the boots were transferred away. No, they were sold, so a really, really big problem there for Infi is that he really could use the boots on the Mount King, otherwise it basically can't track anything down, and now the Tri-Hero of Infi maybe just going to be able to take down this Haunted Gold Mine and get out of here. That's certainly a smart choice. It looks like Paladin now hitting level 2 after killing off a bunch of acolytes, and so it looks like he's not going to actually go for the Haunted Gold Mine, which would be a very, very useful thing to do, but instead he's just going to be able to just do these hit and runs, trying to take down things like ghouls, which are just so easy to take down, and actually taking down those acolytes as well. Things where he doesn't have to commit too much to, because obviously if he has to put himself in bad position, something like sleep could come in and really cause problems for him. But it looks like even this Abomination finally going to go down, because it was in quite a bad position. I'm not sure what PCG was really thinking there, but this Haunted Gold Mine actually going to go down finally as well, because of the resilience of this Tri-Hero combination here for Infi. Really, really nice play here. This level 6 Tinker going to come in. Actually, no towers here, so this Town Hall is going to be so easy to take down. But there's mass TP coming in here for Infi, and Pocket Factory going down as well. Obviously, actually no TP here, but still no bolt can go off on the Tinker. So a bit of care has to go off for PCG that doesn't get surrounded or bashed or anything, but at the same time he isn't at the huge threat that he otherwise would be under. And actually, ooh, it looks like he might get blocked here. No, Infi misses this around. Unfortunately, could have brought that one Water Elemental down, but it looks like this Tinker going to be able to make a run for it. And what happened, it looks like the Dreadlord has healed up to full health because of the statues, and maybe actually PCG going to go back for air control after all of this. It's going to be tricky for him to get that, because obviously these flying machines and the water elementals, which are now back out, and the Archmage all do a huge amount of damage to air, but at the same time it's going to be hard for him to win with a Abomination based army or anything like that. Maybe Fiends could work for him if he got a couple out, but at the same time Fiends are really reliant on that Death Knight, which we just don't have here, and things like Sleep and stuff are much less useful when you have Fiends than when you have Ghouls and when you have Air. So we'll have to see. It looks like he is going to be going for all these destroyers. I mean, the Dreadlord does actually get bolted. There is very much on the run, but Infernal comes down, gets a stun off there. Actually, the Mountain King sleeped as well, so he won't be able to do any more bolts. And a mass TP going off here for this Archmage, who goes back to his main base, and looks like this, as we can see, actually this base mined out. Actually, all the bases mined out here for Infi, and this base not being mined. This is the only base left with gold. So at this point, really, unless one of these players wants to try and retake that, it's going to come down to who can win the micro battle, the battle of the heroes right here. And PCG now moving with his Tinker, going to try and take down a couple of these low knights. Both of them get staffed back. Actually, very, very nice play there by Infi. Really, he needs to keep all these units alive, because, as I say, he has no income at the moment, and actually running all of them peasants back so he can turn them into militia form, probably, or at least be able to do that if he needs to, if there's a fight near his main base where he actually thinks he can make use of them and not just have them be huge amounts of free experience here for all these destroyers, which obviously do a huge amount of damage to militia because they are heavy armored. And looks like we do have these destroyers. They're just going to maraud around now, but really there's not as much that they can really do, because they can't interrupt all the mining, which is what they were really relying on before. Infi, meanwhile, no gold really in the bank, so really can't be producing any more units unless he wants to do a lot of creeping or selling a lot of items. But it looks like at the meantime actually sold a lot of items. Does only have 2 stabs and an orb, and that's it here for him. But as I say, this hero combination is so resilient nonetheless. You know, this hero combination for PCG, really it's not made to be a late game hero killing army, or hero killing unit combination. It's more a harassment based unit combination. That's going to work against them certainly, but at the same time he is, I think it's 7-6, yeah, 7-6 compared to like 7-3-2 or 7-2-2, 7-3-2 I think. So yeah, it's just not nearly the hero levels, even though Infi is another hero. Really the really high levels of PCG are just too much for an even fight, but at the same time, just because, like, as I say, it's just such a hero, it's such a resilient army combination designed to kill heroes as opposed to designed to harass. It might balance itself out, we'll have to see. This Acropolis is going to go down, but that's not a huge loss, because I don't think PCG was ever really planning on taking that in mind. And we do now have a bunch of buildings being sold. This is what Undeads just love to do, just going to get that last bit of value out. Maybe get a actually he sold it. Oh no, he has another shop back here. So maybe gonna build a frost storm. Maybe gonna build it by a healing potion or a mana potion. Mana potion would probably be better here in this situation. Been making great use of these skeleton rolls, having them all game long, and this Tinker now actually doing a huge amount of damage. As I say, Tinkers just do crazy damage to buildings when they're in Robogoblin form. But oh, nice staff there actually, and we can see. Unfortunately, PCG is actually giving a bit of experience here to Infi when he drops all those pocket factories, and the things he's killing. Certainly, it's nice to kill the town hall, but it's not absolutely necessary unless you're really going for that base race. It's not like he's mining anything from there. So we'll have to see whether or not that's something that PCG ends up really needing to do. But it looks like actually this Dreadlord is doing some more creeping. Wants to get that bit more gold and maybe a couple items as well, which will help him out. But at this point, really probably selling the items is going to be more useful. Cross of attack, yeah, probably better just to sell those at this point. I wonder if he's ever going to be able to use this boneyard. It'd be very, very nice if he could, because one froststorm can really make a huge difference, especially against those water elementals, but also just against the flying machines, because unless you spread them out very, very well, the slow's going to do a huge amount of damage to them, and they're going to take Infi quite a long time to actually take it out. And in the meantime, PCG can come and actually do a bit of damage to the heroes. Maybe try and focus one down, or at least force a staff and then focus it down while it's stuck there. But in the meantime, PCG actually could be able just to try and whack away at these buildings. The Paladin actually being staffed home just to get it a bit more healed up. And actually PCG not paying attention here, does need to be very, very careful. Does manage to get away though before the Knights move around the back. Very, very close there, and looks like these Knights do have animal war training, so almost 1,000 health, so really, really hard to take out with things like Carrion Swarm and Pocket Factories, which are just not designed to pick off individual units. And these flying machines now marauding around, going to try and find these destroyers, which if they could, that would be so, so good here for Infi. And it looks like we do have another Pocket Factory being dropped here. This Arcane Vault going to go down in like 3 more shots, just so, so crazy. And we do have PCG going to be very, very careful with his destroyers. I think he should probably be being a bit more careful. I mean, obviously he's sold his towers here, most of them, so he does only have a couple, but he might be better just to keep them in his base at this point until he really wants to use them. And PCG, it looks like he is going to be going for this base race, or at least making Infi think that he wants to go for a base race, which is going to force Infi to be a bit more defensive. Really, it's going to limit the options. That's always something you want to be forcing your opponent to do, unless you really want them to fall in your trap and really want them to do something that they think they want to do. But actually it's very bad for them, and PCG is going to be able to run away now because the Tinker is crazy fast with it being level 6 and having a boots. And these flying machines still looking to do some damage here, but do need to be very, very careful. As I say, yeah, looks like when they run into the Black Citadel, they just take too much damage, and obviously if he can't afford to repair them, so he will have to staff them home if he wants to repair them, and that's just such a waste of a staff having to use it on something that's 1 food, and obviously that's the fact that they cool down with the staff, so it just takes so much longer, and it can put you in a bad position if you have to fight while your staff is on cooldown and all you saved was a flying machine. One Pocket Factory actually going down here, so you can rally them all the way into here without them being immediately spotted. But a staff teleportation comes out here. Actually, did he miss half the army? No, maybe he didn't. And so he is actually going to be slowed here. The Tinker does need to be careful, but at the same time, he's probably going to be safe if it comes down to it, because it's going to be fairly tricky for Infi to do too much. Looks like we do have a response here coming in here for PCG. He is going to try and dispel this slow, and he will almost certainly be successful because it just takes so long for Infi to do really any significant damage to the Tinker, and in the meantime really it's just so useful to absolutely know what Infi is up to, and so you can do things like send these Robogoblins to attack these farms and just do a bit of damage, try and force the base race, or at least make it look like that's what you're trying to do. Look, a lot of gold in the bank here. I think he must be saving up for a Froststorm, but actually he's just a bit short on everything really at this point, so he might have to, I'm not sure if he can't sell a Ziggurat because that would supply food cap him, and he doesn't really want to sell his shop, so he might be best to sell the Graveyard. But the Graveyard has a fair chunk of hit points and isn't actually worth a huge amount, so it's a bit up in the air as to what he actually needs to sell here, and I think he might need to even kill off a unit if he wants to get out that Froststorm. So actually he does have an Acolyte he can kill if he wants to be on supply blocked for that. And it looks like we do have the flying machines coming in here, and again just gonna get off some shots here. Actually, that's very, very bad here for PCG, who's really does need to be very, very careful at this point. But it looks like Infi's going to be looking to close in now. I think, yeah, there are actually a bunch of peasants here. Now that he knows that pcg is trapped in his base, he can do some super long distance mining. But this is so important that he doesn't lose them, because he can just end up giving a huge chunk of experience here to PCG. PCG obviously going to be looking out for this Archmage now. Really good, trying to not get give it too many free hits, but at the same time you do want to be forced to get back. And Slaughterhouse now being sold. Boneyard still not active. Really very, very nice to see one Frostworm coming out. That would probably be his best bet for this last ditch attempt here by PCG, as this continues to go on here by Infi. Looks like the Tinker actually managed to sneak out. Actually has bought an orb. After all this time, why would you now buy an orb? Oh my god, looks like actually now Infi's deciding to move in because he knows that Tinker's away. So the Infernal immediately drops, all the Flying Machines being a bit late into the battle. But at the same time, this Infernal being surrounded means that it just does so much damage from its area of effect damage. And looks like we do have the Destroyers actually managed to do a fair bit of damage to the Flying Machines. Tinker taking a bit of damage, and I can't believe he bought an orb at this point. I think that's quite a big mistake, really. It'd be very, very nice to see him have one earlier, or even to see him sell one now, basically. But this combination is just not the best for him. The Tinker being forced back, dropping a Pocket Factory as well, and a very, very nice defensive position. Looks like he's actually bought a Spirit Tower as well to really bolster his defenses here. But at the same time, the air dominance has completely gone to Infi now, and Infi now going to be trying to shut down the last of these heroes, and with that, the game, hopefully for him. But at the same time, you do need to be so careful when you're fighting around undead towers, because just the slowing effect and everything can be so bad. Sleep goes off on this Mountain King as the Dreadlord tries to make a run for it here, and we do have all these peasants still long distance mining, bear in mind. And what happened to the Tinker, actually? I'm not sure where he went. It looks like, he was just right clicked on the mini map probably, so he went right in that corner there. And in the meantime, I'm going to be able to do a fair bit of damage, and he's going to be able to take down these towers at the very least, although the Black Citadel might well survive, but there's not really too much PCG can do at this point. Gonna maybe try and take down these peasants, and that will give them a bit of experience. It might give them level 7 Tinker, actually. I don't think so if the Dreadlord comes in as well, and he's probably going to want to use some carrying storm. But a Mass Infi comes in here now for Infi, will he be able to finish it off now? There's Tinker now on the run, and that's just the terrible terrible combination of heroes here for PCG. Very, very interesting, very good at that harassment, but just in this late game situation, which I think Infi was probably trying to force, really. It's just very, very tricky for him to actually end this game in such a manner that would actually end up with him killing heroes. And Mass TP comes in here to this Tinker, who is finally taken down, and this is surely going to be at the end here for PCG. He does have his one Dreadlord somewhere. Dreadlord now completely being followed here by these Flying Machines. Unfortunately, no Flying Machine bombs, which actually could have been pretty useful in this game. But looks like with this Black Citadel going down, that is going to be it. And with that, I'm not sure what PCG's plan is here. Maybe it was certainly doesn't have enough gold to be buying any heroes back or anything. And so he is just trying to heal up actually a bit here, and maybe go for one last ditch attempt. Maybe, I mean, he can't go for a base race, although that certainly would have been an interesting option for him earlier on. I think that would have been better than trying to actually take the fight even in his base. If he was probably quite smart there to decide that he would be able to get away with fighting in an undead base, which is normally such a no-no. Ooh, selling a bunch of items here. He must have something planned. Looks like it's not buying a hero back though, and he is about to be disqualified by the looks of things, because he doesn't have any buildings at all, and so he didn't buy any items. I'm not sure. Maybe he wants to build one last statue, you know, there's a GG. Actually, he wanted to bring down one last Infernal there. So wow, amazing game there. Really nice hero combination there by PCG, but nice thinking there by Infi, realizing that he just needed to play that long game, getting a very resilient hero combination, and saying you can do as much harassment to me as you like, but in the long run I'm going to be able to last it out. So I hope you all enjoyed that game. It's been quite a while since I've done a game, actually, casted a game, but it might be actually about a month before I do my next one, because I'm just about to do my my final exams ever, at which point I'll be free to do them a lot more. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in about a month probably, unless I get very, very bored of my revision, and I have fun playing Warcraft, folks.